Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well today. So today is gonna be a little bit of a different video. As you might have seen from my second last video, it's been a year now that Odie has passed, and I wanted to make a video on what kind of helped me with the grief that came afterwards, because I think it's not really a topic that people talk about, and when it happened I did find a few videos that helped, but there wasn't that much content out there because I think it's still kind of taboo to talk about grief, because usually grief is for humans, right? While really when we lose a pet it can be just as strong. So I wanted to just share a few things that helped me. So in my life I had two dogs that I loved very much that I had to take the hard decision to put down. I'm not gonna make a video on how to know when it's time. There's other resources that I will leave here. To me, the thing that helped most is just look at how many bad days and how many good days they have. If they have more bad days than good days, then you know that's time. And also, how do they react to cuddles and the things that they usually love. With my first dog I had to schedule a day for it, which was super hard, and with my second dog Odie I kind of knew that was happening, although I didn't want to see it. And he had a massive seizure, and I had to call the vet over to come and end his suffering, so it wasn't prepared as much as the first one. But in either occasions, whether you lose a dog because you at a specific date that you know of, either it happens suddenly, I think that those are things that can help you. So in terms of preparing, so this doesn't apply of course if you lose a dog suddenly and you didn't know that it could possibly happen, but if you have scheduled an euthanasia, or if you know that your dog or pet will pass away soon, then I would highly suggest schedule time off work. And I know this is a huge privilege and not everybody will be able to do that. If you can schedule off work, then do that before and after, if you know the date, so that you can just spend the last days of your pet life with them, close to them. And I think that if you don't do that, you might really end up guilting yourself for not spending enough time with them. The second tip is to take a lot of pictures and videos of your dog when he's poorly. And I know it sounds horrible, but this will help you with guilt afterwards. And you might not experience guilt, but I felt a lot of guilt with both of my dogs after they passed away. A lot of guilt, which I'll talk about it after. But looking at having the pictures to look at and realizing yes, they were really poorly, like I made this good decision, was so helpful, because your mind kind of tricks you to remember of when they were healthy and did take the right choice. Maybe they weren't that poorly, maybe they could have lived another week or month or a year, and seeing those pictures will really kind of ease your mind off to be like, no, I took the right choice. They were not well, they were not themselves. And yeah, I really feel like it helps a lot. With Odie especially, the last few days I documented a lot, and this sounds horrible, but the day that he passed I actually videoed his seizure, because the vet said if you have a video of the seizure we can kind of recognize it and kind of understand where it comes from, and we can give you better advice. And I didn't know that was his last seizure, so I have the video of that, which is horrible, but looking at it after it happened, it kind of reset my mind into being like, yes, he was not gonna make it after that, so you did the right choice. The next thing is to check with your local vet what are the options for after the death. What do you want to do with the body? Do you want to bury them? Do you want to cremate them? There's different options that you can discuss with your vet. It's really tough. I know it's really tough, especially if they're still alive, to think about this, but it's gonna make the process a lot better. For my first dog I decided to cremate them and to not get the ashes back. If you don't know, there's two options. You can either cremate them with other dogs, and that's gonna be less expensive and you're not gonna get any ashes back, or you can pay a little bit more and get your dog cremated by himself and then get their ashes back. A lot of people say that that's not what actually happens, that to save money they just cremate them all dogs together and then they give you a mix of of ashes back. It's up to you really to whether you trust them or not. With my first dog, I didn't want the ashes back, or I thought I didn't want the ashes back, because I was just like, yeah, she's dead, that's it. And I didn't know that it would impact me that much, not knowing that she was just not coming back in a way. So with Odie, I knew 100% that I wanted his ashes back, that I wanted to hike somewhere and spread his ashes. I knew that I wanted to do this kind of ritual, which is something I'll talk about after, for him, because I knew it really upset me to have taken that decision for the first dog. So even if you think that, yeah, just give it a thought, really. Just really sit down and think about it. Even if you receive ashes of a mix of dogs, that's still a little bit of your dog, and you can still give them a goodbye. I don't know, it's really up to you. There's some cremation centers that allow you to bring directly your dog, so you don't have to go through the vet, and it's something I didn't know personally. I found out after, and yeah, I would have done definitely that if I could have with Odie, my last dog. So that's also an option. You can go to the cremation center yourself with your dog, and you can sit on a waiting room while they cremate them, and that, I think it could really help with the closure process, like to really see it happening. Because when you just give it to the vet, it's like, yeah, okay, he's dead, or he or she is dead, and then they come back just the ashes, and you're missing a step. So that might also help with the closure. And one last small thing, which is again something I learned after the first time, is that I could spend time with my dog. So the first dog, the vet came in the house and they brought back the body, and that was it. I didn't even go to the vet because everything was kind of prepaid and arranged, so I didn't have to go to the vet. While with the second one, because it was sudden, I had to go in and pay. It sounds horrible, but you have to pay, of course, for the service of the vets coming in, and that also allowed me to go in the room where Odie was and spend time with him. And I was there for probably 15 minutes with his body, and that really helped me again to see that he was gone, but he was, you know, peaceful, and I gave him a last hug and all of that. And with my first dog, I didn't get to do that because the vet kind of needed to go back to the clinic, so they gave me maybe 5 minutes, and then that was it. She was gone. So yeah, all those small things, they seem small, but honestly they're gonna do a big difference afterwards with the healing process. So now let's pass to the afterwards it happens. Obviously everybody has different grieving mechanisms, and I'm not here to say that you're doing it good or you're doing it bad. Whatever works for you is good, but there are a few things that I noticed for me that I thought could help you too. With Odie, my second dog, I decided to get the ashes back, and I knew that I wanted to kind of make a ritual out of it. So whether you want to bury the ashes, whether you want to put them somewhere nice, whether you want to go for a hike and spread them somewhere they had liked, which is what I decided to do, I think that really helps to kind of give them a last goodbye. And even if you don't get the ashes back of your dog, sorry, I keep saying dog because that's what I had dogs, but it could be a cat, of course, or any other pet that you love. Yeah, even if you don't get the ashes back and you don't have something physical, you can still go for a hike, or, you know, just do something to remember them, like a little ritual. And I think that really does help with the grieving, whether it's a pet or a human, really. The next thing is to think about a keepsake, or something to remember them in the long term. So you could get a big beautiful picture of them printed out and framed, or you could get made a portrait, or you could get made a cup with their picture. I personally have this little necklace with him because I like the fact that he can be with me always. But yeah, just think of a way to remember them and bringing them with you. Sounds so stupid, and honestly I never thought I would be this sentimental, but it helps till now. So I would highly recommend, if you can, get something that reminds you of them, that you can carry easily with you and that makes you smile whenever you see them. The next thing is to try and process whatever you need to process straight away, and try not to bury it and not look at it, because it's gonna come back and haunt you. So if you can, cry it out, be sad for a week, 2 weeks, whatever you need, you know, scream, whatever helps you to kind of let it out. A lot of people get dogs like very fast after they're dog passed away, like they get a new dog, and I think that's super cool. If you're getting a rescue and you know, giving them a home, I think that's great, but be careful not to do it too fast, because that's a way also of you know, turning your head around and not really looking at your pain. And although it might give you a quick happiness boost, it's gonna come back. Like, don't worry, it will catch up with you. Don't let anybody tell you how you should feel, how long it should take you to get over it. I personally think you never get over it, but you know, to feel better, don't let anybody tell you that your feelings are invalid. If they don't understand you, they might say that. If they had never felt that kind of, you know, attachment, they might not understand it. But don't let anybody guilt you because you're sad, because after years you're still sad. Just, you know, I like to think that the amount of pain that we have afterwards is equal to the amount of love. So obviously the more you love, the more pain there's gonna be. It's just inevitable. Some people think that you shouldn't feel as bad as if a human had died, but I don't believe in that. I feel that you can suffer as much, if not more, for a pet that if a human had passed away. And the last one is a really hard one. It's the thing that I think I struggle most, and it's the guilt. And it's to not let the guilt eat you alive, because it's really painful. Whether you lose your dog for an accident, whether you lose it naturally, or whether you had to schedule an euthanasia, I think the guilt that comes afterwards, I'm not saying that everybody will experience it, but I definitely did, and I know a lot of people that have lost pets that do. You start thinking, what could I have done better? Did I do all I could? Was it really the right moment? Did I take the right decision? Blah 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 blah. Like, did they want to live more, and I chose for them? And who am I to choose for another being to die? It's horrible. Like, guilt honestly is the hardest thing, other than of course missing your pet. Again, I think that looking back at the pictures that you have, reading back the journaling entry that you have, will really help you to remember that yes, it was their time and you did the best that you could. And another thing that helped me with the guilt of having to put your pet down is to think that they were suffering, and what you did is ending their suffering and not letting them suffer, which is a great act of love in a way. Because you're the one that's gonna live with the consequences. So yeah, just trust your decision. Nobody wants to go through this, nobody wants to do it, but sometimes it has to be done. A lot of people wrote to me after I posted that video that they are losing their pet now. They've lost it a year ago, they lost it 10 years ago, and they're still thinking about it. And I know how hard it is. And again, as I said before, I think pain equals love. So if you love a lot, you're gonna have a lot of pain. That's just how it is. And yeah, I think it's nice that we still get to remember them, even if we miss them years after they passed away. It means that they give us a lot of joy. And yeah, I hope you're doing well. See you soon. Bye bye.